Chapter 13. Cracks in the Wallpaper. Rain pounded against the tiny kitchen window like 1,000 tiny fists. The old radiator in the corner wheezed and hissed, struggling to keep up with the chill that had crept into the Brooklyn apartment. The room smelled of burnt toast, cheap coffee, and exhaustion. Nathan stood over the sink, shirtless, washing the same mug he'd already rinsed 3 times. Emily sat at the table with her hands wrapped tightly around her lukewarm coffee, her eyes hollow and distant. The fairy tale had started to rot at the edges. It had been 6 months since they had left the White House behind, exchanging political grandeur for peeling paint and the scent of mildew. 6 months since the world had turned its back on Emily Morgan. First daughter no longer. No security detail. No morning briefings. Just bills, disappointment, and the constant grind of survival. Emily had taken a job at a local library, a small branch tucked between a laundromat and a liquor store. The hours were long, the pay short, and the stares from patrons even shorter. Her name still had weight, but now it carried a different kind of burden. People remembered her face, but not with reverence. Curiosity, contempt, pity. Nathan had bounced from one job to the next: dishwasher, bike courier, overnight janitor. Nothing stuck. His criminal record and time on the streets were shadows that refused to leave. He had stopped talking about dreams. Now he talked about shifts and tips and the price of eggs. They were slipping. "I had to walk home again," Emily said softly, breaking the silence. The trains were delayed. Nathan didn't turn around. "You could have called me." "I did. You didn't answer." He paused, water dripping from the mug. "Phone was dead." It wasn't. She knew it. He knew it, but neither pressed further. That was the rhythm now, dodging truth like potholes, ignoring the ones that cracked the tires. Finances were stretched thin. Rent was due in 4 days and they were $200 short. Emily's hours had been cut due to budget issues. Nathan hadn't worked in 3 weeks since the kitchen at the diner shut down unexpectedly. Savings had dried up like rain on a desert floor. And then there was the whisper. The whisper Emily had heard at the grocery store. 2 women behind her in line, chatting, giggling, then suddenly shifting tones. "Can you believe she married that guy? The homeless one?" "She gave up everything for him. I heard her dad doesn't even speak to her anymore." "I guess even a princess can fall for a frog." The words stabbed, not because they were cruel, but because they mirrored the doubt already growing in her heart. That night, Nathan came home with bruised knuckles and a fat lip. "What happened?" Emily asked, rushing to him. "Got jumped." He shrugged. "Wasn't a big deal." But the lie was obvious. He was pulling away again. Just like before, back when he had been living in shelters, scamming for a hot meal. She could feel it in the way his arms barely held her anymore, like he was afraid to admit how much he needed her, or feared he didn't deserve her. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Emily came home early, surprising Nathan. She opened the door and found him sitting on the floor with a half-packed duffel bag beside him. The apartment was silent, except for the sound of his breathing and the rattling of her keys dropping to the floor. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice trembling. He looked up at her. "I can't do this anymore." Her knees buckled. "You're leaving?" "I'm dragging you down, Emily. You could have the world. You had the world. And now you're stuck here with me, waiting for miracles in a place that doesn't believe in them." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she didn't cry. Not yet. Not this time. "I didn't choose the world, Nathan," she said. "I chose you. And I'm not giving up on us. Not when we've come this far." He stared at her for a long moment. His eyes were filled with pain, not anger. Shame, not resentment. "I don't know how to be enough for you," he whispered. "Then let's learn together," she replied, "because I can't carry this alone." That night, they talked until dawn. They didn't solve everything. The rent was still unpaid. The fridge was still nearly empty. But for the first time in weeks, they held each other like they meant it. Like the love hadn't rusted. In the morning, Emily put on her coat and walked to the library with a letter in her bag. A request for a small emergency grant from a local women's support organization. Nathan stayed behind, applying for a new job at a community garden startup nearby. The fight wasn't over. The war was still long, but for the first time in months, they had sharpened their swords together. As the sun rose behind the Brooklyn skyline, painting gold across cracked bricks and rusted rooftops, Emily turned to Nathan and said, "We may be broke, bruised, and broken, but we're still here. And as long as we're still standing, we're still writing this story." Nathan smiled. And the cracks in their wallpaper? They were starting to look like veins. End of chapter 13.
If this video sparked your interest, taught you something new, or simply made your day better, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you never want to miss out on content like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us grow and keeps the content coming.